Hi guys, if you thought the US Vice President was sorry over his attempt to embarrass his own country by attacking allies in Europe and the UK, well, you'd be gravely mistaken. Now, while right-wingers in Britain and the EU are criticising Trump for siding with Putin, many are happy to back Vance because of, frankly, his take on the culture war. Here he was speaking to a group of Trump sycophants, and he claimed that Europe are not sharing US values. Have a listen to this.
Germany's entire defense is subsidized by the American taxpayer. There are thousands upon thousands of American troops in Germany today.
Okay, before we continue, why is that the case? You notice JD Vance never asked this question. I believe he was in Germany recently, he was in Europe a number of times, and he never bothered to ask the soldiers or the generals or the people in charge in these bases, these US military bases, why are you here? Why did he never ask that question? Well, maybe he would have got the response that I'm about to give. So there are two things in particular. There was World War II, and of course there was the Cold War. So the United States during the Cold War said to European nations, we will protect you from the threat of the Soviet Union, but we are going to be in charge. We are in charge of NATO. We are top dog at NATO. NATO will not do anything without our say-so. That was what European nations received from the United States. That's why there are so many troops in different bases around Europe. Now, Europe, of course, got security, guarantee, but of course the United States was able to shape European foreign policy as a result of that. It's not that the United States got nothing in return. They were able to shape a great deal of European foreign policy. And we saw what happened when the United States was attacked on 9/11. European nations threw their support behind the United States. When the United States went into Afghanistan, a number of European nations offered both troops and support. They condemned America's enemies. So, while yes, the United States has ponied up most of the resources and most of the cash when it came to keeping the Soviet Union at bay, it got something else in return. And of course, militaries in Europe have been buying a significant amount of American military hardware. So the United States is not getting nothing out of this deal.
Do you think that the American taxpayer is going to stand for that if you get thrown in jail in Germany for posting a mean tweet?
Nobody is getting thrown in jail for mean tweets. Donald Trump has said that he's going to jail his opponents. I didn't hear any European leader, even the far right ones that we would describe as far right in Italy, for example, has not described a situation where they're going to throw their opponents in prison. Donald Trump literally said that.
Of course they're not. Right? So the point that I try to make to our European friends, and I think that they're our friends.
No, you're not our friend anymore. It doesn't work like that. You don't side with Putin. You don't come over here and say that we are undermining democracy when obviously it was Putin when it came to Romania who was undermining democracy. You don't come over and say these things and then expect us to be your friend. A friend is not somebody who comes over and punches you in the face and tells you you're doing everything wrong and you need to be like me.
I believe that. I know President Trump does, is that friendship is based on shared values. You do not have shared values if you're jailing people for saying we should close down our border. You don't have shared values if you cancel elections because you don't like the result, and that happened in Romania. You do not have shared values if you're so afraid of your own people that you silence them and shut them up.
Do we have shared values where we refuse to accept the result of an election that was actually transparent and above board, and then encourage our supporters to try and burn down the Capitol and try and murder individuals, members of Parliament or members of Congress? Are they shared values? This guy is a charlatan. I never really understood why people were holding him up on some sort of pedestal some years ago. Oh, this is somebody we can work with. This is a guy who's come from nothing and he's a true leader. No, he's a charlatan. He's a liar as well. He's lying here about Romania. He knows he's lying about Romania because the United States, this new administration, it seems, has picked a side. And it's not Europe. It's Russia. Donald Trump has basically said so, and JD Vance is basically saying the same thing as well. We have picked a side, and it's not Europe. It's not the United Kingdom. It's somebody else. And we're going to support that individual, and we're going to support those in Europe who are working with that individual because it weakens Europe. And I keep coming back to this point. The goal Donald Trump has when it comes to Europe is to weaken it because it's less of a threat to him. It's less of a threat to people like Elon Musk because the European Union believes in protecting consumers, protecting people's rights. Elon Musk is going in the opposite direction of that. So, of course, he wants to see a weakened Europe. Donald Trump wants to see a weakened Europe because he's able to call the shots. And, of course, Vladimir Putin wants to see a weaker Europe because then he has greater influence in the east of Europe. I'm not talking about another invasion, but he doesn't need to invade if governments in Europe are dancing to his tune, like in Hungary and other European nations as well. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.